Adam, how would you tackle addiction issues using Ericksonian techniques? Well, Ericksonian techniques, Ericksonian skills are different. Erickson really didn't have any techniques. He had principles, that is, approaches, and a technique would evolve from those. The skills were pretty much, skills. They were tools that he'd learned to use. He developed himself over many years for various reasons. And those tools are pretty much the same throughout, language patterns, etc. But techniques, he didn't like say, here's a technique where you do A, B, C, D, E. This is how you do it. Use it for substance abuse or whatever. He didn't do that. Every client was unique. And so he'd take the principles of how to make things happen, and then he'd build a technique kind of from that. But he never called it a technique. You try and look up an Erickson technique, it's almost impossible. You can find principles. You can't actually find, bullet listed techniques. It's taken people like me and others to be able to pin down the principles in such a way that we can create a technique, not so it can be used over and over again, but so it can be taught, so we can teach the principles behind the technique. So how would he tackle addiction? Well, it depends on the person. He would use a combination of indirect suggestion, tasking, and metaphor, but that would all depend on the particular individual, how far down the road where they were, what they were actually addicted to, and their life circumstances, whether they were addicted at the particular time, if they were alcoholic, whether they were dry at the time. There's so many factors involved. There's not one way of doing it. There is one way of doing it, but not one way of doing it. The one way is to learn everything you can about Erickson's principles. And then what will happen from that wonderful, wonderful reservoir of abilities and skills and principles will come the techniques that you can then tailor-make techniques for your client, regardless of any problem, of course. So I haven't got a one example, this is how you work with addiction. I can't give you that. It all depends on so many factors and what's available to you in your toolbox.